Is it still Masai we trust?
For me it is, right? For me it is because I don't expect a GM to be batting 1,000 on every trade on every draft pick, right? So when
Right.
he makes errors, I know this fan, like even our track group, AP, certain people, get this guy, blah, blah. Yeah, he's wrong, right? But that's we want a GM to be perfect. So he made some poor decisions, and it's always we always can play the hindsight and say I knew this and I knew that. So
Yeah.
personally, for me, his track record is good enough for me to have trust in him still. Right? He's done so much. I know that's in the past. We want to know what have you done for me lately, but I think I did like the OG. I didn't want to resign OG. I didn't want to really resign Siakam. We did lose Fred Van Vliet for nothing. I thought that we couldn't really match the offer, but we should never have waited to get to that point
Right.
with Siakam and all that. So like I get where we could have done things better or whatever or Masai. But that all being said, I still have trust in him when he's making a decision, when he's making a trade for like Ingram. I do have trust that he knows what he's doing, or Webster, or his name, Bobby Webster. I do have trust in that brass. So for me, I still have trust in him. It's waning though. It's getting a little thin, but I'm still there with him.
Yeah, I guess the question I have also is who else is out there with the qualifications he has that's going to come in and do a better job, right? That's someone on the street that's going to come in. If the Raptors get rid of him, I just see Bobby Webster stepping up, right? I don't see them. That's my impression, right? I don't have a problem with Masai, right? The problem I always had with Masai, I think he makes, even when he makes mistakes, he always finds a way to correct them, right?
Yeah.
Or mitigate them, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I do have a problem with is when we had the championship core and they were all kind of, one by one picking off. I think he could have dealt with them a little bit better. I think there was some nostalgia there. He's holding on to them. I don't know why he waited so long, like you said, Julian, with some of those moves. Even Boucher should have been out of here. We could got something for him.
Yeah.
Like you're not even utilizing him. So what's the point of having him stick around, sit on the bench when other teams were interested?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was a second round pick, get rid of him, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's following the script of the CRTC. How you have to have one Canadian on your squad. You got to play one Canadian hip hop song or one Canadian song every 30 minutes.
You know what? I'll tell you something. They just picked up AJ Lawson.
I'm going to say that to mention him.
It's a sneaky good pickup. I think he's a good young piece that could be serviceable in the future with this court, right? I mean, but Boucher, I mean, I don't know. Again, I think we could have got something for him. There was interest for him. Mind you, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We don't know what.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm sure they tried to.
Yeah, you guys know. You guys hear. I mean, I've heard it through even inside sources, right? And apparently he could be a dick to deal with, right?
Who, Masai?
Yeah, to the point you're like, come on, Masai. I'm playing chess and you're playing checkers. You know what I mean? But he's also known to win a lot of trades, right? So I can see teams being hesitant. Pardon me?
Recently, I mean, not including
historically, he's known to win deals. Like even back in Denver days, he's been known to make winnable deals for the organization. I'm just saying that in terms of Randall's point, that where teams may be hesitant or maybe find him to be difficult to deal with or afraid to deal with because they are feeling that they're going to lose out on the deal. I'm just saying that could be it too, right?
Well, the big criticism that I have in the last few years, I would say after the bubble, the big thing that I see that that I'm just like, what are you doing is, his roster management, right? I feel like he hasn't really since the bubble built a sufficiently deep team, right? He was known for that, right? And I think that, at the points that he brought Poto back, and I think that, we all like those moves. I think the roster was set to make a push, but I don't think it was a balanced roster, right? To compete consistently. And I think that's the problem I've seen, year after year after that. Now, the one thing that I think he's done well in general, overall, I'm not saying he always hits the mark, right? But I think he's always managed to either draft like a piece that, people are like, I really didn't think about him. And he ends up being a serviceable piece. And I think those serviceable pieces get some playing time in these situations. And if we can keep them all together, then you're building the core, right? You're building that bench strength. Like he did that with, that whole young unit of Pascal, Freddie, all those Boucher, all those Powell, Norm Powell. So all those guys, right? They won that G League title. All those guys grew up together. Poto was one too. They all grew up together, and basically at one point was the second unit, right?
And it was a great second unit too.
Great second unit, right? And they grew to be. Look at them all now, right? They're all kind of stars in their own rights, or not all stars, but serviceable, better than serviceable players.
Yeah. You can throw OG in there too. You can throw OG in there too as well.
OG, well, yeah. Oh, again, there you go, right? So,
player,
so you look at all these pieces and that we have now. I got to say that, I like this team. There's been the last 3 years has been hard to watch, maybe 2 years, right? Like, and I mean, Jules, you even joked to me and said you don't even watch the games anymore, right? You're like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Half of it's true, half of it's not. But I kind of watched the first quarter and turned it off because I was probably threw the remote at a couple TVs.
Way to accept responsibility, Randall.
So I think part of it too was Nurse. Was never a fan of him.
Yeah. Big part of it was Nurse too. Like he wasn't playing any of the young guns. He wasn't really developing players, right?
Correct. Right, and that's what we were known for at one point, right? So we're getting back to that. And I think we're getting back to this whole. I don't think Darko is a championship level coach, but I think he's a good coach for what we need right now.
Yeah, he's a rookie coach.
He's good at developing. He's good at getting buy-in. He's building up the confidence of these young players. We talked about a few times the name Walter was mentioned. I think that's a great piece. I love Shed.
That's a good pick.
I think it's a great pick. I think there's some bigs that are coming up, and I can't even pronounce his name. He got injured, but there's a lot of good pieces from the draft that came in, and I think will be good in the future. So.
I'm always going to be biased to Masai because I'm very partial to him just because of the way he kind of him and Tim Lewicki back in 2012, 2013 reset the culture of the team, or 2013, I should say. So I'm always going to be partial to that because it ended up those moves and those steps and those habits ended up in the championship. Like you can never forget that. You know what I mean? So, and the fact that he's still here because of that is why I'll always remain somewhat biased to him. But I got to say the last few years have been a little shaky. You know what I mean? It's been a little shaky to say the least. You know what I mean? To you guys' point, holding on to players too long. And, we've hashed that even in past State of the Raptors Address pods episodes or whatever, right? Yeah. But my thing is now you got to pay, as I mentioned before, you got to pay Barnes, IQ, RJ, BI.
IQ just got paid.
No, I know, but I'm just saying those contracts add up. You know what I mean? And the core of that is it's quite hefty for a team that's in 13th place in the East. You know what I mean? And I know the future's ahead of itself, like because this is not the ceiling that they're reaching right now with this new squad. But I look at that Scotty pick and I'm kind of like, man, that's a lot of money. I like him. I like him. No, I don't want to.
What are you watching any games?
I am.
I'm gonna start asking you.
You know what I'm saying? I like him a lot. I'm just saying when you add up all those salaries, You know,
No, it's a lot of money.
it's a
Right,
little
but
hefty when you're not seeing a superstar level type of talent in front of there. You know what I mean? And I know the whole situation. I
buddy,
have to
but
point that out.
I would rather pay them than Siakam and OG and Fred VanVleet.
Yes, because
You know what
they're
I'm saying?
older. Of course, I would
Right,
too.
right.
I would
So
too.
but I hear what you're saying. It's a lot of money, but the ceiling is much higher. They're younger. They can grow together. They're not worth the money right now, obviously, but we had to pay them because we traded for them, and um, we had to pay to keep the core together, right? And the core that he believes in. So I'm not mad at it. At the end of the day, they're also again tradable pieces. I've said this over and over. When you overpay, we have to overpay players. Come on, we understand that we have to overpay, and I'm okay with overpaying a player and knowing that there's a potential we can ship him out later on, right? And there's always a buy, always. I'd rather do that than having Fred VanVleet walk and not get nothing back from him. I've always said that. We are in a position being in Canada where American players don't want to come up or move to a different country. We got to do that. We got to overpay.
Yeah, I know for
So
sure.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. We're not your typical NBA team, man. We got to do it. We have to.
It is what it is. You know what it is with Scotty though, and I've been saying for the last while. It's kind of like the DeMar DeRozan thing, where it's like that's kind of ceiling to me. Where it's like I like them. They work hard. They get better every year. You know what I mean? But will it just be a thing where he has a ceiling, and then the ceiling is just making some noise in the playoffs eventually? You know what I mean? And that's the end of it. Like, are we hoisting the Larry O'Brien, with Scotty being that guy? You know what I mean? It's like it's a question I always ask almost every year, at least the last couple of years. But it's like it has that DeMar DeRozan feeling. Having DeMar DeRozan's career, not knocking it. Look at Julian rolling his neck.
Yeah,
it's great. Like I like him. I'll always like having DeMar DeRozan on the team. Not when he started, because when he just got drafted, I remember I was one of the ones knocking him. But I was always saying, like, you can't knock him because they're so young, and you got to let them build, right? So you got to let the story play out with Scotty. But I'm like, but right now it has the sense, the aroma of like of the Rosen career, which is fine, but it's not leading with a ring. We've seen the story before.
To me, it doesn't. As a Raptor fan, it doesn't. But I hear what you're saying because we're losing, right? We're losing now, and DeMar.
And again, I want to stress, I like Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, I know. But you also like DeMar too. After a while, like after a couple of years, because you saw him progressing.
I still like him to this day.
But yeah, and I hear you. You like him. We're losing. It has a bit of that smell of DeMar. It's not because first of all, DeMar's game was very one-dimensional. Just scoring. Wasn't a great defender. He was a tweener. Wasn't a great passer. Wasn't a great
better all-around player now, though.
Right? Yeah, he is 100%. Barnes isn't that. Barnes rebounds. Barnes he can bring the ball. He can find. He can pass. He can play defense. So it's not. He's just not surrounded around with veteran, bound players right now. Right? We're just this point in the franchise. If you bring in great like scorers, shooters, proper players that it can help Barnes out, we will be a better team. He's not the same player as DeMar, but I do get what you're getting at because we're losing, and Barnes is getting better as a player, and we're still losing, right? Isn't that your point?
And let me stress, like guys like KD and stuff vouch for him, so it's like I'll take all of that into consideration too. I do.
Yeah, thank goodness we never made that KD trade in Brooklyn for Barnes. Honestly, it was like 2 years ago. You remember that? We were thinking about trying to go all in and trading Barnes for KD.
And he wanted to come here, huh, KD?
Yeah, he did. He was willing to.
His favorite team is the Raptors growing up.
Yeah. He said that. In a like a post-game presser kind of thing. So we were all thinking about should we do it? But long term, I'm glad that we didn't, right? Because now, like KD's still performing at a high level, but you can see it kind of. You can see that the horizon where his game is about to tail off.
Yeah, the end of the road is starting to come.
Yeah, right. And he's up there in age, right? But
remember, he Achilles, man. That's not.
I know, very true. I forgot about that. Injuries, right? Yeah, injuries. Yeah.
Broken foot, all that stuff. The lower extremity injuries are here. You're 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's to be
Yeah.
expected. Unless you're LeBron, like this is the natural process of athletes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, you're just expected to get more injuries, right? Like with Ingram too. Let's be real. He was young, experiencing all these injuries. As you get older, you don't get more stronger. You get more prone to injuries, right? Look at MB. Yeah. So no, Durant's still performing at a high level considering his history. But I'm still happy we didn't make that trade.